back to the pink room for Flosstube episode 27. I'm Emily, this is Newton, and this is, I guess, our channel all about cross stitch. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 finished pieces, my house from the Little House Needleworks series, 4 of the monthly minis from Country Cottage Needleworks. I'm going to ask you to help me choose my project for, it's America's 250th birthday. And so I'm going to ask you to help me choose my project for that. And then I have a couple of project plan updates, as well as I'm going to teach you how I use the journaling app as like a digital record of what I stitch. It's basically my digital book of days. I got some questions about that, and so I'm going to show you guys about that. And then over last weekend, I was doing some things in my closet, and I've done a closet tour on here before. Right when I got my dresser, which is great for storage and a work surface, I did a tour, but it's kind of evolved a little bit, and folks said, hey, I'd really like to see that, so I'll do a quick tour, and then we will end with a giveaway. So packed agenda today. Let's get started. Do you want to get started? Looks indifferent. Okay, I kind of need to put you down though. This year I'm doing 12 of the patterns from Hometown Holiday, the series from Little House Needleworks. And I keep them all in this project bag that I got from Red Velvet Quilts. Her bags are my absolute favorite. She has just the best quality. She long arm quilts her panels, and then she also does these really fun key fobs. Each one is unique to the bag, so she makes them coordinate with the bag, and then they usually have a cute little charm, but Carrie just does an amazing job. So looking at this one, so this is my house. Again, it's part of the Hometown Holiday series by Little House Needleworks. And it's on 40 count Zweigart raw. I'd made a couple of changes here. So the house itself calls for something that's very purpley, and it wasn't a color that I really wanted. When you look at the series as a whole, it uses a lot of this cranberry color, cherry cobbler, and then my house was really dark. I can't remember, Bing Cherry is what it called for. And it just wasn't my jam. So I chose Cherry Cobbler because it was brighter and happier and felt more like a Christmas red. I also changed the brown. It calls for roasted chestnut, which I think is just a nasty color. It's sort of like a yellowy, brownish, I don't like it. I just don't like it. So I changed that out. This is Caterpillar. And then the trim on the house was a very light beige. And so I chose a DMC that is just a hair darker than Cherry Cobbler. Now, in retrospect, I could have gone even darker on this shade, but I don't hate it. It's totally fine. I wanted to talk a little bit today about fancy floss and tonal shifts. So there are 2 methods of stitching I think we're all aware of, right? You can stitch the English method, which is 1 stitch at a time, or you can stitch the Danish method, which is all of your stitches this way and then all of your stitches back that way. Like half stitch this way, half stitch that way. And my preference is to stitch the Danish method. However, if you have a fancy floss that has a lot of tonal shifts in it, so very high highs, very low lows, or you might think it is very dark darks, very bright brights, you can really see those tonal shifts when you're stitching. And to me, they sometimes stripe. So if I'm stitching left and right, I would see actual stripes left and right in my floss. Well, I felt like Cherry Cobbler had a lot of shifts, so I did 1 stitch at a time. And honestly, I kind of hate it. I was talking to my friend Lisa, who is Elsnaps, and she said she always does the Danish method. So I started really looking at when is the Danish method appropriate for me and when do I not want to use it. And kind of where I've landed is if there's not a lot of tonal changes in the floss, I will use the Danish method because you don't see the striping as pronounced. However, if there's a lot of tonal change in the floss and you don't mind stripes, then Danish is fine. Like, I think it's great in a roof because it kind of looks like shingles to me, or it looks great if you go vertically on a door because it looks like wood grain. But in a house, I didn't want it striping in the house. So I just wanted to mention that. I've gotten some questions lately from new stitchers who were asking some questions that I feel like everybody knows, and then I realized that's not true. So just wanted to sort of voice that. If you're new to stitching, if you're new to fancy floss, that's something to sort of keep in mind, is the way you stitch with fancy floss will determine the end result of what it looks like. The other thing I'll say is in the tree, so this, I can't remember the floss for the green, but the floss for the green, I did do one at a time and would do one at a time again because I felt like the bright brights and the dark darks were very different and I would not want any striping in my tree. So this is the second of 12 that I'm planning on stitching this year, and it's all done and ready to go. This was actually my February plan, but I thought it's already done, so I'm going to show it to you guys. Maybe I won't be spending the entire year working on this after all. My goal is still to do 12, but based on some of the other things I have planned, it just may not be 1 month at a time. So that's My House by Little House Needleworks. Oh, there is down here at the bottom where you see nothing. They have the pattern calls for letters and they're included in the pattern, and you can put your own name in there, the Joneses, you know, whatever. I just didn't really feel drawn to it, so I left it out. Just an example of how you can make the pattern yours. They also suggest in the pattern that if you don't want to put a name on it, you could actually put the words My House, but My House doesn't look anything like this, so I decided on nothing. My next project is 12 monthly minis. I've done some of those patterns, four more of those patterns. I've shown you guys a couple, but I've got 4 more to show you today. I keep them in this bag from Little Jamie. I've noticed that people are showing in their Flosstube episodes the bags that they use, and so I was just gonna show you guys a couple of my bags. Anyway, Little Jamie on Etsy, great quality, super cute. I particularly love 30s prints, so I like this a lot. Carrie will always reign supreme in my brain, but this is definitely a good bag. All right, since I last saw you, I completed June, July, August, and September. And if you missed the last episode or any of the episodes I've talked about this, my plan is to finish these into small pillows and put them in the drawer of an antique coffee grinder that I have. Somebody said they wanted to see the coffee grinder, and when it's all finished, I will definitely show it. But for now, I'll just, in case you haven't seen an antique coffee grinder, I will put a picture in here. Sorry, I will put a picture in here. This is my first day overhead filming, and I just kicked the stand. Anyway, I will put a picture in here so that you can see what an antique coffee grinder looks like. I'm gonna take my hand off this, it's gonna roll up. So, what do you need to know about this? Yeah, okay, so on these, there's a conversation happening on Instagram about being a process stitcher versus a product stitcher. And what does that mean? How did that come about? Well, it came about because I was whining really about August and September. July went really fast to me, but August and September, particularly September, it has a lot of little details. That's what makes it fabulous, right? But it felt like it was taking me a long time, and I was tired of it, if we're being completely honest. So someone said I should give these up because I'm not enjoying them. And while I do feel pretty strongly about abandoning projects that aren't your jam, it really got me thinking about, are you a progress or process stitcher, Or are you a product stitcher? And I have always thought of myself as a process stitcher. However, I think it's fine for there to be seasons where you are something else. So right now with Hometown Holidays, I feel very much like a product stitcher. I want those boogers done. I want them fully finished. I want them on my tree. Like, that is a high priority to me. Am I having fun doing them? Some of them more than others. I hate stitching snow, like confetti stitches of snow. Terrible. I just can't stand it. But it really adds to the pattern, and when it's finished, I love it. So is it worth it? Yes. Am I still going to whine about it? Probably. So I just wanted to kind of say that with my out loud voice, you know, that sometimes you may be more about the process, and sometimes you might be more about the product, and sometimes that means you might have to slog through a project or two, but I think that is okay. You know, I made the analogy to somebody, it's kind of like eating ice cream. Like, for me, the monthly minis are ice cream. They make me happy right now. They are not really probably great for long-term health. You know, when I think about what I want in my stitching life or my stitching legacy or what might end up in a thrift store, I don't think it's going to be 12 monthly minis, but I like them now, right? So I don't know. It's kind of funny. And I guess I just don't want people to think that it's all sunshine and roses. I also think, in fact, I was talking to my husband about this because he's a woodworker, and I said, is there a point in every project where you're like, this needs to be over? And he was like, yeah, when I get to sanding, which I thought was really funny. As I'm sure you're aware, this year is America's 250th birthday, and lots of stitchers are choosing pieces to sort of commemorate the event, right? And I have been planning to do that. I have the floss. I've narrowed it down to 2 patterns, and I'm actually going to ask you guys to help me decide which one I'm going to stitch. The 2 I have it narrowed down to are both by Primrose Cottage, as it turns out. One of them is called the 4th of July Round, and the other one is Patriotic Quaker. Now, Tara Sullivan of Silly Stitches, last year during the Super Bowl, she did something that she called the stand-up bowl, where everybody was invited to stitch some sort of stand-up. A lot of people did Stacey Nash's Animal Crackers. This year, she's doing something that she's calling the 250th, is important there, 250th, the 250th kickoff. And so I just thought I would pose this question to you guys now, have you vote in the comments, help me make a decision between the 4th of July Round and the Patriotic Quaker. Super Bowl is on February 8th, so fast approaching, right? And then if you decide to participate, be sure that you tag Tara and use her hashtag 250th kickoff. A couple of weeks ago, the Attic in Mesa, Arizona announced that they were going to release Paulette Stewart's America 250. Paulette is Plum Street Samplers. Paulette had done the chart for, I think, Sampler Symposium, but don't quote, might have been summer school. I loved it when I saw it. There's a beautiful eagle at the top. There's a gorgeous border at the top. And so when they said that they were going to release it, I was like, have to get it ASAP, obsessed, 10 out of 10, right? So I was talking to Carrie, Red Velvet Quilts, and Maggie on YouTube. She's Homemade on the Ridge. And we were kind of all talking about, are we going to get it? Are we not going to get it? What do we think about it? Would you get the silks? Would you get the cotton? Are you going to have them kitted? Like, just all those fun project chit chat things. And Maggie said, as a part of that conversation, we were saying it looks kind of like American Welcome. And Maggie said, do you have American Welcome? Well, since everything's on my iPad, I pulled up my patterns. I didn't have American Welcome. So I'm like, I don't know how that didn't happen, but whatever. And that was sort of the end of the conversation for the night. I got up the next morning. I prepared to call the Attic to get America 250. And I thought, I'm going to put everything in my spreadsheet because If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I keep a spreadsheet of all of my patterns, their counts, what I stitched them on, the designers. I rank them high, medium, low, all that junk. You can go back in time and watch that video if it's your jam. So I checked my spreadsheet and American Welcome was on it. And I was like, how's that possible? And then it occurred to me that when I converted all of my patterns from paper to digital, I didn't convert my kits. So I ran in the pink room and sure enough, I had American Welcome as a kit ready to go. And I thought, why would I spend a notable amount of money to buy America 250 if I've already got American Welcome? I also compared them side by side. Tangent. I've compared them side by side, and what I really love about America 250 is it's got this border at the top with the eagle. Like that part, my jam. Some of the stuff at the bottom is like lovely. Like I think Paul Revere's riding through there. There's a guy on a horse. In my brain, it was Paul Revere. I don't know. And I don't know that I want a man on a horse riding in my house. That just didn't, but I loved everything about American Welcome. So I thought, if I love everything about American Welcome, but not everything about America 250, and if I already own it, then maybe that's the one I should go with. So Carrie actually has it as a whip. She's pulled it back out. She had a whip. She had a whip parade. It's fabulous. You should go watch it. But as part of her whip parade, everyone that she was like, I started this with Emily, then she didn't finish it. So I texted her and I said, hey, do you want to do American Welcome together? Actually, we probably shouldn't do that because you don't finish the things that you start with me. She was like, maybe we could do it unofficially. So I talked to Maggie about it. And Maggie and I are going to start American Welcome on Memorial Day. We're super pumped about it. And that gives us, Memorial Day is the end of May. That gives us about 4 months to knock out some of our other plans. I love the idea of doing American Welcome as a focus piece for June. I still have 2 monthly minis to finish and 9 hometown holidays. And those are not active whips, but they are taking up space in my brain as active projects because I want them done by the end of the year. So basically what's happening, just cut the fluff, is I'm hurrying through as many projects between now and Memorial Day as I can because I want to focus on American Welcome when I get to June. And I would like to have all the monthly minis finished. I would like to have at least 1 or 2 more hometown holidays finished. If I could finish Christmas bells, that would be amazing. I had to print all my notes today, which I don't normally do. I usually do it on my iPad. I have my notes on my iPad, but my iPad is suspended above me right now so that I could try that overhead filming. How did you feel about the overhead filming? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you care? Because what's happening right now is I am talking to you in the phone, and my Lowry is on a step stool next to the table, coming up and over, and my iPad is literally like right here. So many people have been doing overhead stuff, and I feel like when I hold overhead stuff up, then I'm doing, like this number. And sometimes people hold stuff up in front of their face and you can't hear it. So I just thought we would try it on the table, see what we think. Feel free to weigh in. What else did I have to tell you about updates? Prairie Schooler Christmas Village. So I started Christmas Village as part of 12 by 12. I was really 4.5 hours was all I could do because my eyeballs were hurting so bad. And through a series of conversations that we will not talk about, I found out that there is a Prairie Schooler group on Facebook. And I joined, Maggie didn't know, Maggie joined, and somebody posted a color conversion of, I almost said Christmas bells, Christmas Village. All of the colors that are charted from Prairie Schooler are very warm, and the colors in the color conversion have a little bit more variation. Seems a little bit less repetitive. Some of the colors are a little bit cooler. I'm obsessed. That's the bottom line. I'm obsessed, and I'm gonna do the color conversion. So I'm excited to share that with you guys kind of as we go along. The color conversion is free. It's not a secret. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it. If that's your jam, if you're stitching it, come on. The more the merrier. I think when I did my end of year review for 2025, I mentioned my journal app because it helps me. I had originally started 2025 trying to stitch every day. And by using the journal app, I can see my progress because it puts a little dot on a calendar every day that I make an entry. And I really like that. So if you're not familiar with a book of days, it is an empty planner that you can purchase. I know if you buy it from Colorado Cross Stitcher that she spiral binds them and sells them, but most everywhere else I believe that they're stapled. Here, let me move that Lowry. Sorry, I just realized it was hanging in the frame. Anyway, people are really into them. They like the paper copy, they like to decorate them, they like the stickers, all that jazz. If that is what floats your boat, go for it. It does not float my boat. I don't like anything on paper. It feels so permanent. Yeah, I don't like it that way. So I started using the journal app, and the journal app comes on your iPhone. Don't have to pay for it. It's just like, it's a regular standard stock app, like your messages app or your mail app. The journal app is now that way. You can use the app. You know how some apps are like iPhone only or iPad only? You can use the journal app on a Mac, on your iPad, on your iPhone, and it's going to sync across all your devices, assuming that you are logged in to the cloud on your phone, then it will sync that way. But anyway, that's what I use. I find that it's really helpful. So I told you I keep that spreadsheet, and I'm not great about remembering to update my spreadsheet. So like if I finish one of my monthly minis yesterday, I don't run to the computer to update my spreadsheet, but I keep it in my journal. And at some point I will sit down at my spreadsheet and I will go through and I will look and see when did I start things, when did I finish things, and I will update my spreadsheet that way. My spreadsheet's more like my official long-term vision log, and my journal's more like the day-to-day stuff. And I'll show you kind of like how I started with it and how I use it now, because they're a little bit different when I was trying to figure it out. I'm going to open the journal. It's this, I think it looks like a butterfly, purple and pink pages. And you can see when I open up the app that I have a couple of things happening. Down the left-hand side, there's an insights panel. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later. You can see I can tap all entries and see all of the entries I've made across both of my journals. There's something called journal that has no entries in it. This is the actual default journal that comes with the application. You cannot delete it. You cannot rename it. I do not like that. They did not ask my opinion. And then I've got 2 stitch logs, one for 2026 that has just my 2026 entries, and one for 2025 that has just my 2025 entries, okay? So let's talk about creating a journal. If you wanted to create your very own 2026 journal, you would tap the plus that's next to the word journals on the left-hand side, and you're gonna get a window that comes up. You get a whole host of colors and icons, and you can name it whatever you want. So I'm going to call this Flosstube Journal. Oh, let's spell it right. I was so focused on my hands that I didn't pay attention to the words. And then you can pick any icon you want. I'll just choose a bicycle. Okay, and you tap the check mark in the top right-hand corner, and it's gonna create the journal for you. So now you see in my left-hand side, Flosstube journal with the little bicycle. And if we tap that journal, you see no entries, right? So to add an entry, you click the plus in the top part of right above Flosstube journal, there's a little plus icon. We're gonna tap that plus icon, and it's gonna give us a blank entry. Now, It may or may not tell you that you can do journaling suggestions. I don't remember how I turned it off. I don't use this on my iPad a whole lot. I'm using it on my iPad right now because I'm recording with my iPhone. But there is a way. I'll tell you what I tell my parents, just Google it. There are, I would say, probably 3 main parts of a journal entry. There's the title, there's the message body where it says start writing, and then there's the ability to add photos. So the way I use the journal app is I always put the title of my project in the title slot. And then in the start writing area, you can write as much as you want. I don't put that much detail in it. When I first started using this app, I was putting in information like stitched the windows and the door frame and whatever. And then I realized that that was a lot of effort on my part of things to keep track of. And there's never going to be a time in the future when I say on December 23rd, 2025, what exactly did I stitch on that one pattern? Nobody cares. I'm never going to need that data. So like, why collect it, right? So I just put the title of my project. So let's say in this case, I'm talking about 12 monthly minis. The way I log that in my journal is I just say minis, and then I'll put a colon and whatever my next one is, I think it's October. Okay. And then if I were starting it today, I would put start. If I finished it today, I would put finished, and I would never put anything else in here. That's just me. You put whatever the heck you want to in here. Now, the other thing I will say is, sorry, I just tapped the screen. In the top right hand, next to the check mark, there are 2 double arrows. And if you click the double arrows, you do not get what I thought you were going to get. Where did it go? Just a second ago. No. Yes, it is. Goodness gracious, it's at the bottom of the list. I'm sorry. There's choose photo or video. You can choose a photo or video to add to your journal entry. So if you like to keep track of the progress that you made day to day, that's a choice for you. I will show you what that looks like a little bit later because I did it in 2025. I'm not doing it this year, but I'll show you kind of what that looks like. Now, let's say you go crazy and you have multiple journals like I do, and you write an entry like this and it's in the wrong journal. It took me forever to figure this out. If I needed to move this particular entry to my 2026 journal, I would tap those double arrows again and I would say choose journals. It's the second one on the list. And then I can see there's that faint check mark on the right hand side. I can check all of the journals I want it to appear in and uncheck the ones I do not want it to appear in. So I just want to call that out as a feature. I think it's weird, but it's necessary because at some point you will inadvertently be in the wrong journal. Ask me how I know this. The other thing I want to show you is how you can change the date. So let's say today I forget to log whatever it is that I did, and then tomorrow I log in to make my entry and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't put anything in there for Monday. When I log in, it's going to date this. You can see the date at the very top of the entry. It's going to put today's date. However, if you tap the double arrows and you say entry date, it'll give you a calendar and you can go back and put it on a different date. Now, you tap the date you want it to go to, let's say the 15th, and then you tap off of the calendar and it will update at the top, Thursday, January 15th. It's great that you can do that. It will always look proper in the list of entries. However, to me, it does not reflect appropriately in the insights. I don't know why that is. I think the insights tab is a little bit of rubbish, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Let's say you are in your Flosstube journal, and if you had several entries, you can do the same things here. You can tap the 3 dots on the entry and say choose journals, or you could click edit. You can also just tap the entry itself. So you have a couple of different ways to access data. I invite you to play around with it. I don't think you need me to show you every single detail, but I'm just trying to give you the easy big picture items today. And if we go over to the Insights tab, it'll show you what your current streak is, and a streak is the number of days in a row that you have journaled. It'll tell you what your longest streak is, your longest weekly streak, which means like the number of weeks in a row that you have journaled. tells you total number of days journaled, the number of words written. Some of it's interesting, some of it's not. If we scroll down a little bit, you know, we're looking at January 2026, and you can see that I have stitched every day. I can go back and look at what it looked like in 2025. You know, you can see on December 2nd and December 10th, I didn't do any stitching. If we go back even farther in the year, back here in July, June, I think it was June, things were really busy at work. And so you can tell there was a direct correlation between when things were busy at work, I wasn't stitching as much, right? So I like this calendar at a glance view. I just like to see how often I am stitching, and how many. I like to try to get as many days as possible. I think it helps get projects completed. I just like it. I don't know. I'm nerdy about these things. But I wanted to show you what it looks like if you have photos. So again, where was it? I was just on this. Yeah. So in August of 2025, if I scroll down, you can see that I have put a photo in here, and it's on August 26th. If I tap this entry, this is a good example of what I was doing in the beginning. Well, August wasn't really the beginning, but anyway, I guess I thought I needed to do it for this particular project. I took a picture of my progress that day. I uploaded it with my entry. I titled, you know, the title of this is Stars Hollow. And then my writing area, I just put, you know, I finished Luke's, I finished the sign, and then I started Lorelei's house. So it's up to you on whether or not you want to add those photos. They're kind of neat. Maybe you'll find value. I don't know. Do I have anything else to tell you about these things? Oh, searching. So I was telling you earlier that I tend to update my spreadsheet based off of what's in the journal app, right? So I will come into the app. I will just, you know, go to all entries, although you could search individual stitch logs if you wanted to. And then in the top right-hand corner, there is a search icon. So if I tap the search icon, it's telling me I'm going to be stitching in the I'm going to be searching in the 2026 log only, and I'm going to search for the word start. And it's going to show me every entry I have with the word start. So I started the minis June on January 9th and July on January 11th. That's why I've decided to go to just putting start and finished, because I can search for it really easily and keep track of it this way. It streamlines my process with my spreadsheet. If you're going to be doing any searching, if there's anything where you think like in the future, I'm going to want to get this kind of data, you're going to want to make sure you put that in the content of your daily entry, because if you want to search for it later, you want that to be available. But I just wanted to give you a high level overview of the journal, how I use it. I think it's helpful. I think it's fun to look back, you know, at an entire year's worth of entries and see all the things that I worked on, and you know, it's just kind of neat. So if you have any questions about it, you're welcome to put them in the comments below, or if you want to send me a DM on Instagram, that's fine too. I'm flexible. I'm going to finish today's video in the closet by doing a quick closet tour, but wanted to do the giveaway really fast. So Buttermilk Basin is known for their wool applique patterns, and they are starting to get into cross stitch, and they were kind enough to share patterns with me. So they sent Jolly Santa, mug, and tree. They sent gingerbread rolling pin. And they sent bake stitch towel and bag. So if you're interested in winning the set, all three, because I'm mailing these boogers and postage is expensive, so I'm so sorry I'm not sending them to 3 people. If y'all want to enter to win these 3, comment down below, use the word buttermilk. That will enter you to win, and then I will draw a name probably on February 1st. That gives you guys a week to do entries and get that shipped out to you. So I think they're really super cute, and I hope that you guys will enjoy them. After posting a video online, there were some comments about the closet, and folks wanted to see inside of it. I've done a tour before, but I'll show you once again because it's changed a little bit since I did it. This is the closet in the pink room. Immediately inside the door, I have a floss wall. At the top, I've got classic Colorworks threads and Weeks Dye Works threads, and then the middle and bottom rows are all DMC. I keep extra random threads or different dyers on the top right, so I've got some other specialty flosses, and then I keep my big long rulers hanging down at the bottom. I don't know that they're going to be able to hang there forever because I might have more DMC. Actually, there's a whole story about that coming, but you know, a small trash can, and then this wooden monstrosity with all of the tackle boxes in it. Those are full of DMC. I got the whole thing. It's a Kay's Creation holder organizer doo-wopper. And I got the whole thing for $10. It's full of well-organized DMC from a stitcher who donated it. So that's been a really wonderful addition to the pink room. In the dresser, I'll show you inside the dresser in just a second, but the dresser doubles as a work surface. So I've got a cutting mat on the top, and then I use the space above for the things that are most critical to me. I've got some small rulers, some scissors, pencils, pens, glue, whatnot, etc. I've got my floss winder, and kind of up on the shelf, you can see the black windy thing around the bar. That's how I film overhead stuff. My phone snaps to it magnetically. And then the white lamp that's sort of telescoping off of the wall over there. It's a super bright daylight that I use whenever I'm working. So that's the work surface itself. And then on the back wall, I have kind of behind over there, behind the dresser and underneath the lamp, I've got a bunch of frames that I picked up, some frames that will probably be downsized or resized or whatever for some cross stitch pieces. This is just my childhood toy box and I like it. I don't want to get rid of it. And then I've got some family pictures on the wall because if I'm going to be in here all the time, I might as well have cute stuff, right? And then the shelf I use for my, I would say whips, but not really. They're things I am working on, but maybe not actively. So it's Christmas Village and the tray I use for Christmas bells. Most notably, I started hanging my linens. So I got the idea to hang my linens from So Tattered. Katie at So Tattered on Instagram and on YouTube. She uses boot hangers. I'll show you one in a second. And she used a little bit of a different boot hanger, but I've chosen some boot hangers to hang my linen, and that way I can keep them all nice and organized. I also have these little circular thingies like you find at a clothing store to help separate them into 36 and 40 count, but that way everything is just really accessible. If we take a look inside the top drawer here in the dresser, I've got small things that I use for cross stitch, like my needles and small scissors and things like that. And then I have a lot of fasteners. So I've talked to you guys before about sew tights. These are my sew tights. I keep all my different sizes in here, the ones that aren't out on the magnet board already. I've got all sorts of clothespins, small and large, and glue sticks, and these tags, these also are in the link. These are just, you get like 250 for $2. They're just little paper labels on a string. I use them for labeling my projects, or like if I've already cut linen for something. Here, I'll show you an example. I cut all the linen for Hometown Holiday, and I went ahead and labeled each one with a little tag. That way it's all cut and ready to go, and I know exactly what it belongs to. So that's kind of how I use those tags. Glue gun, Lori Holt buttons, finishing tape. I've talked about this. Here, let me show you one that's unopened. If you haven't tried it before, it's exceptional. It's from Fat Quarter Shop. Makes finishing so easy. I also have some crochet thread for lacing, just finishing goodies. If we look in the second drawer, it's a little bit messier. This is smaller than 36 count linen, plus like a finishing tutorial thing that I got from Chantel's 141, some larger ribbon. These are ribbons and trims. These are all of the, what did I just call these? Boot hangers. And then these are all my Q-snaps and hoops. My bottom drawer is all fabric. Some of it's leftover quilting cotton. Some of it is other stuff. I've got like some of my husband's old blue jeans in here because they're cute on the back of pillows, right? I've got all the back quarters I'm usually showing you guys that I get at Boxcar kind of over here in the corner. And I have this mishmash of fabric that I use for finishing. These are the boot hangers that I use. I buy a pack of, I think 100 or 150 of them. I can't remember. I buy them from Amazon. They are linked in my shop. They're in the video description. They're in my Instagram profile. It takes you over to my Amazon shop that has all of my stitchy goodies. I chose these because they, in Katie's, you actually have to like take it off. It's a full ring, and I wanted to be able to take things off of the bar easily whenever I'm auditioning fabric. So I like that it had the hook, and then I also like that it has the little rubber tips because I don't want anything to snag my linen. So that's why I chose these, and they're really, really nice addition to the room. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks for joining me in the pink room. I really appreciate you spending time with me. There are all sorts of great floss tubers out there, and it's always an honor that you choose to be here with me and my huffy dog Henry and Newton and all of that jazz. So until next time, talk to you later. Love you, bye.